The hunters become the hunted, and the hunted learns to enjoy it. The force is red now, not corrupted, not fallen, red. It flows through the galaxy like infected blood, pulsing with a hunger it never knew before. Jedi meditate and feel thirst. Sith reach for power and taste desperation. The balance is gone. What remains is survival. And on Dathomir, in the ruins of the sacred grove where it all began, the Nightsisters gather for the first time in generations. Not to mourn, to hunt. Merrin stands at the center of the circle. She is young, but her eyes are ancient now. She has seen the wound. She has touched the red tide. She knows what it means. He is still out there, she says, walking between stars, drinking worlds. Around her, 12 Nightsisters, the last of their kind, listen in silence. One speaks. Her name is Karis, and her voice is like grinding stone. We summoned him. We fed him. We owe the galaxy his death. Another nods. The magic recognizes him now. He is of it. We can track him. Merrin raises her hand. Tracking is not the problem. Killing is. She looks at each of them. He does not die. He does not age. He does not fear. And the force itself bends around him like light around a black star. Silence. Then Karis smiles. It is not a pleasant smile. Then we do not kill him with the force. We kill him with something older. The Nightsisters begin the ritual. Not to summon, not to bind. To remember, they descend into the catacombs beneath Dathomir. Caverns older than the Republic, older than the Sith, older than the Jedi. Here, carved into bone and stone, are the first laws. The laws written before magic had a name, before the Force was understood. When power was not channeled, it was taken. Merrin reads the inscriptions aloud. To kill what cannot die, you must become what cannot live. Karis nods slowly. The dead mothers, the others recoil. That ritual is forbidden, one hisses. It has not been spoken in. It will be spoken now. Karis interrupts. Or we lose everything. The dead mothers were the first Nightsisters. They were not witches. They were devourers. They learned to consume death itself, to pull it into their bodies and wield it like a blade. They could not be killed because they were already dead. They could not be drained because they had nothing left to take. They were perfect predators, and they were buried for a reason, because they did not stop hunting. Merrin speaks carefully. If we invoke the dead mothers, we become them permanently. Karis does not hesitate. Then we become them. The others murmur. Some nod. Some turn away. But in the end, 11 remain. 11 Nightsisters standing in a circle, ready to sacrifice their lives to kill one creature. Merrin looks at them. Once we begin, there is no return. We will hunt him. We will end him. And then she does not finish. She does not need to. They all know what happens to the dead mothers when the hunt is over. They turn on each other. The ritual begins at midnight. The Nightsisters paint their bodies with ash from their ancestors. They speak names that have not been spoken in millennia. They open their veins and let the magic, red, writhing, hungry, flow into the earth. And the earth answers. The graves split open, not with corpses, with presence. The dead mothers do not rise, they merge, one by one. The Nightsisters feel it. Something cold, something ancient, something that has been waiting in the dark for centuries. It pours into them. Their eyes turn black, their skin turns pale, their breath stops. But they do not fall, they stand. And when they speak, their voices are layered, doubled, tripled. They are no longer Nightsisters. They are the dead mothers reborn, and they are starving. Merrin is the last to transform. She feels the cold creep into her chest, her throat, her mind. She tries to hold on to herself, to her name, her purpose, her grief. But the dead mother inside her whispers, grief is a luxury. You are a blade now, nothing more. And Merrin, let's go. The dead mothers do not hunt like Jedi. They do not strike like Sith. They hunt like wolves, silent, patient, inevitable. They track Dracula across the outer rim, following the trail of empty worlds, drained stars, lifeless systems. They find him on Rishi, standing in the ruins of a colony. He is facing away from them, hands clasped behind his back, perfectly still. Karis moves first. She does not run. She glides, her body flickering between shadow and flesh. Her blade, forged from the bones of the first mothers, pierces his back. Dracula does not scream. He laughs, finally, and he moves. The fight is not fast. It is surgical. Dracula does not waste motion. He does not posture. He simply is. He catches Karis by the throat and pulls. But this time, nothing flows. The dead mothers have no essence to drain, no life to take. He frowns. You have learned. Karis grins, her teeth black. We are what you made us. She drives her blade into his chest. He catches it, snaps it, and throws her into the ruins. The other dead mothers swarm. They do not attack one at a time. They attack as one. 11 shadows, 11 blades, 11 voices chanting in the old tongue. Dracula moves through them like smoke. He is faster, stronger, but they do not stop. One falls, 2, 3. They rise again, because the dead mothers cannot die. Not until the hunt is over. Dracula begins to understand. He stops moving. He stands in the center of the swarm, blades piercing his body from every angle, and he smiles. You have made yourselves into weapons, but weapons are tools, and tools, he grips one of the blades embedded in his chest, can be broken. He pulls. Not the blade, the witch. And the dead mother screams as something inside her is torn. Not her life, not her magic, her death. Dracula is pulling her deathlessness out of her. Merrin sees it. She sees the dead mother collapse, her body crumbling to ash. Not killed, erased, and she realizes the truth. Dracula is not just a predator. He is an adapter. He learns. He evolved, and he has just learned how to kill the unkillable. The dead mothers retreat into the ruins. Karis, bleeding light instead of blood, speaks through gritted teeth. He is learning faster than we can adapt. Merrin nods. Her mind races. Then we do not fight him. We trap him. Trap him where? Merrin looks up at the sky. Mortis, the others freeze. The realm of the Force? One whispers. That place is myth. It is not myth, Merrin says quietly. It is a wound. A knot in reality where the Force exists as place instead of flow. If we can drag him there, Karis finishes the thought. The Force can fight him directly. Merrin nods. Or it can consume us both. Silence. Then Karis stands. Then we go. The dead mothers do not travel by ship. They tear through space itself, using the stolen magic as a bridge, following the same path Dracula once walked. They arrive at the threshold of Mortis, a fracture in space where reality bends, where time does not move, where the Force is visible. And waiting for them, standing at the entrance, is Dracula. I knew you would come here, he says softly. It is where all hunts end. Merrin steps forward. Then let us end it. Dracula nods. Yes, let us. And he walks into Mortis. The dead mothers follow. Inside Mortis, the rules are different. There is no ground, no sky, only light and shadow, endlessly folding into each other. The father, the son, the daughter, the ancient beings who once held the Force in balance, are gone, but their presence remains, and it is watching. Dracula stands in the center of the realm. He spreads his arms. Here, I am not outside the Force. I am inside it. Completely. Merrin raises her blade. Then the Force can kill you. Dracula smiles. Or I can kill it. And he begins to drink. The Force does not pour into him this time. It collapses. The light and shadow of Mortis spiral inward, drawn toward Dracula like water down a drain. The dead mothers scream. Not in pain. In rage, they lunge. But Dracula is no longer solid. He is a void, a black star, pulling everything toward himself. One by one, the dead mothers are dragged forward. They claw at the ground that does not exist. They scream names that have no meaning here, and Dracula drinks them. Not their power, not their essence, their purpose. Merrin is the last. She stands at the edge of the void, her blade raised, her body trembling. You cannot win, Dracula says, his voice everywhere and nowhere. You are already dead, and I have learned to feed on death itself. Merrin does not answer. She does something else. She lets go of the blade, and she falls, not away from him, into him. Inside the void, Merrin does not fight. She listens. She hears the screams of the Force, the wails of the dead mothers, the whispers of the stolen magic, and beneath it all she hears something else, Dracula's voice. Not his arrogance, not his hunger, his fear, because he has drunk too much, taken too much, become too much, and he cannot stop. The Force is not feeding him anymore. He is feeding it. Merrin speaks inside the void. You are not the predator. You are the wound, and wounds do not heal themselves. Dracula's laughter echoes. Then I will remain a wound forever. No, Merrin whispers. You will close. And she detonates herself, not with power, with absence. She pulls every ounce of stolen magic, every thread of deathlessness, every fragment of the dead mothers, and she inverts it. She becomes a wound inside a wound. And the Force, desperate, starving, collapsing, rushes to fill the gap. The void implodes. Mortis screams. And when the light fades, Dracula is on his knees. His body is solid again. His eyes are dim. He is not dead, but he is contained. The Force has wrapped around him like chains, like roots, like a cocoon. He cannot move, cannot feed, cannot escape. He is a prisoner inside the fabric of reality itself. Merrin collapses beside him. She is alive, barely. The dead mothers are gone, dissolved, returned to the earth. She looks at Dracula. He looks back. "You did not kill me," he says quietly. "No," Merrin whispers, "but I made sure you would wish I had." And she closes her eyes. The Jedi find Merrin 3 days later. She is alone on Dathomir, kneeling in the ruins of the grove. The red tide is gone. The Force flows clear again, but it is not the same. It is wary. Master Yoda approaches her slowly. The wound closed, it is. Merrin does not look at him. No, it is sealed. There is a difference. Where is the creature? Trapped. Inside Mortis, inside the Force itself. Yoda's ears droop. Trapped or waiting. Merrin finally looks at him. Her eyes are empty. Does it matter? On Mortis, in the space between light and dark, Dracula sits in silence. The Force wraps around him, holding him, watching him. He cannot move, but he can still think. And he thinks about hunger, about patience, about how even the Force must sleep eventually. He smiles. "I can wait." Across the galaxy, the Nightsisters are extinct. The dead mothers are gone. The magic of Dathomir fades into legend. But on a dozen worlds, in the shadows of forgotten temples, witches begin to dream. They dream of a voice, a presence, a hunger that calls from the space between stars. And when they wake, they whisper the same word, Dracula. But this was not the only hunt. Because in another timeline, the Nightsisters did not try to kill him. They tried to become him. And the galaxy learned that some transformations are worse than death.